Previously in X-Men, the longtime leader Cyclops is on hiatus from the team, leaving Storm as the temporary field leader, commander of the unit of the fighting mutants known as the X-Men. They are joined by a new member, the youngest member, teenager Kitty Pryde, codenamed Sprite. She's codenamed Sprite right now. Will later be Ariel, will later be Shadow Cat, but commonly known as Kitty Pryde for all generations. You're making a face. Why, you don't like those names?
I prefer Shadow Cat. I prefer Shadow Cat when I think of those names.
And Cyclops, for reasons, is stranded, shipwrecked, blindfolded, cast away on an island in the Bermuda Triangle with his girlfriend, captain of a boat, Lee Forrester, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Great. I'm glad I got all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the team is sort of between missions at this point, and we get to see a little bit of action between characters, figuring stuff out to move forward. We've got issue 148 of Uncanny X-Men by Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum, and Joseph Rubenstein on inks today on our show, and episode 58 of the never-ending, ongoing Tuesday night live stream, focused solely on X-Men and the Chris Claremont 15-year run of X-Men that influences so profoundly the comic book landscape of the 1980s, the animated series, the generational animated series in the 1990s, and video games, action figures, the feature film the Fox feature film franchise of the 2000s, which is 13 movies. Unbelievable. And of course, the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe when they finally bring in Marvel's Merry Mutants. Hello, I am Jason Lapidus.
Good evening, I am Chris Sanagan.
And we are Group of 7 Comics. We love to make comics. We love to talk about comics. And we have this little show every week that we do, probably for a few reasons, like just to hang out, get us some FaceTime together, but also it gives us a chance to deconstruct maybe the most famous team of, well, maybe not the most famous, but maybe the most famous team in mainstream comics, as we also love to make team-focused comics, and it gives us a chance to look and see what works, what doesn't, what transcends the issues and makes it to other media, and what gets left on the cutting room floor. It's fascinating stuff. So we've been reading since Giant Size X-Men number 1 in 1975, and we are now in 1981. So in the year, we've gone 6 years of comic books, which is pretty awesome.
I'd say shout out to the boys over at Cartoonist Kayfabe for catching up. And I saw their episode this week or last week about X-Men 94. I know we got there about a year ago, fellas, but hey, good to hear your takes on it too, Ed and Jim. Always appreciate a couple of new voices jumping in the comments.
That's a good idea. We should tag them on that, or like tag them on our video. Nice that they came around. It is cool to kind of hear the different things that they bring up when when they read that book, instead of what we saw. And not to say that professionally we're not peers in any way, but we're also other adults who have a critical eye. Just we're random other adults.
My mortgage statement tells me that I'm an adult.
Mine's written in crayon, so I don't know about that.
Bank, you gotta get out of that bank, man. I don't know.
Bank of Crayola. How's everything going with you? You're well?
Good. Yeah, doing well. And hey, you kicked off the conversation saying that we like making comics. We're making comics right now, every day, into 7th. Over on our Instagram feed, Group of 7 Comics, number 7. We got a brand new Peregrine's Adventure, Hunter's Moon, daily panels, 3 a day for the month of December. And there's some other Peregrine's books that Jason is showing you there. And it's a lot of fun. And, every day Jay and I just talk about what happens next and have some fun with the story that takes place in British Columbia.
Yeah, it's really fun to finally set our characters in Canada, bring them home a little bit. I'm really enjoying, I always enjoy drawing this stuff. So I'm having a blast. and there's an antagonist with a rifle arm. Which, by the way, on today's episode on Cartoonist Kayfabe, there was a character. Was it yesterday or today's? I think it was today's. No, yesterday's. Pardon me. There was the hero in the manga they were reading has a rifle arm.
Oh, okay.
And they were talking about how every kid at some point wants to draw a character with a rifle arm.
Absolutely.
And I was like, yeah,
we're doing it right now.
We're doing it right now.
Right now.
2 kids with a character with a rifle arm.
Yeah. Which, by the way, again, for those out there, that came about of us just tossed around story ideas. Like, well, what if his arm's a rifle?
That's right.
There's no script that has that in there. It just there's some text about that.
Yeah. It makes the character more memorable and fun, and adds a whole bunch of questions. Like, wait, how did he get that? What is that? Can I get one, please?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It should be fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of fun, we get to read these X-Men comics, and today I'm reading mine in the Essential, right? The Essential X-Men Volume 3. And this, again, supports the thesis of the show that these are the issues we should be focusing on because they're the ones that impact pop culture and Marvel Comics the most profoundly. So Marvel doesn't start this series at the beginning of the run of X-Men. They start it where we started, calling those the essential issues to read. So I love reading it like this. And these issues are reprinted. And again, I don't know that I can't explain technically why, but there is, in the process of making comics, there is a step where there is like a black and white record, kind of like the original scan, almost like the equivalent of that, of the line art that is then reproduced. But these tend to be right from that original scan, in that the line art is just super, super crispy. No color. So there's nothing else getting absorbed by the newsprint, and everything looks really, really fine, and you can see all the details that the line artists put in. So it's very impressive to read this way. How are you reading it, Chris?
I'm reading it. Well, I'm going to bring it up in a second. We're going to share it with the people here. Scans of the original comics, staples and all, direct scans, turned into magic through PDF form. And here we are. So yeah, I'm reading the original comic, just scanned, no touch-ups, no nothing.
That is really weird. What is that on the main character's, the villain's head? Like the number 2?
Oh, right.
What is that?
Is it on the inside cover?
Well, if it was a 2 and it was on the inside, it would be backwards.
Yeah.
I wonder what that I wonder what that is.
I wonder, like, during it was like compacted or something. I don't know.
Who knows? But this is a scan of a comic book cover. This is not a digital recreation of that cover or a digital color. This is a scan of a comic book cover.
And
so,
what a cover!
It's so bizarre.
It is so bizarre.
So here's how it looks. Let me just change the view for a second.
Sure.
Here's how it looks in black and white.
So,
just a giant empty space.
Yeah.
But look at the corner box.
Well, I was going to say that. Yeah.
Dave Cockrum corner box.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. This character is kind of Electric Shadow Fedora.
Right.
So I get waves of the shadow.
Yes.
I get waves of electricity. Obviously, something happening here. But why they let, I guess it's the scarf, go through the corner box on this on the original printing. It is so bizarre.
It looks like a misprint, even though, I know it's intentional with the coloring.
I wonder what it looks like, and I could have done this myself. I could have fixed it when I was making the icon, whatever we call it, the image for today's video.
Sure.
When I'm, setting up the feed or the stream, I could have gone and taken an extra few minutes and fixed the coloring. And I wonder if it ruins the flow, actually, having it correct.
Mm-hmm.
It might make a strange shape for that scarf, and maybe it no longer reads as a scarf. And someone made the decision, would have been probably art director John Romita Sr., would have said, no, make that purple go right through the corner box, ruin our branding and our trade dress.
It's a really bizarre choice if it was intentional that way.
Agreed.
And then, of course, you also have like the shadow, and when you show those original pencils and inks, as you say, like, oh, maybe it's some kind of shadow force or electric or something, and neither of those things happen to be this character's power set. So
right. Well, I don't want to spoil.
Well,
they're calling him the Shadow of Death on the cover.
Yes.
And so maybe this is a character that is not fully there.
Yes.
And I realize now, of course, the electricity is coming from Storm.
Right.
In her classic, famous orange bolts.
In that orange lightning that we always see in the sky.
Yeah. Maybe if they had have done the color differently on the cover, like have the background be black, then you can have her lightning be white. Maybe. And it might really pop, but then maybe you lose Storm if you don't highlight her suit properly. But they often will also give her like a really, really light blue, like a 50% or 25% cyan.
Okay.
And maybe that is conflicting with it looks like the 100% cyan on Kitty Pryde. So I don't know. Anyway, bizarre.
Totally bizarre. And again, because, as we've encountered week after week with the, in the post Claremont Burton era so far, cavalcade of guest stars.
Right.
And we have not only a new threat, and we have 2 X-Men, but 2 new friends to help out. Spider-Woman and Dazzler.
So we get a couple fun things here where we get one where, he has Chris Claremont being he has had a hand in Spider-Woman's journey, and that he was a writer on her series leading up to its cancellation. And also,
do we know when it's canceled in terms of timing close to this? Or
maybe I'm actually wrong, because now that I think about it, it was in that last week we read Avengers Annual 10, and it was an ad for Spider-Woman in it. So I guess it wasn't canceled yet.
Okay,
so forgive me. It was Miss Marvel that was canceled.
Okay, all right.
And he was writing that too. So he was writing Spider-Woman. He was writing Miss Marvel at some point. He wrote Marvel Team Up. He wrote, when they had an encounter with the X-Men there. And he also is a co-creator of Dazzler, in that he's the first writer of Dazzler. Although she's a top-down character, like she's a boardroom creation. She's
right. We're mentioning that, yeah.
Yeah, there was a decision can we figure out a way to maybe make a movie, like an Olivia Newton-John style Xanadu pop star movie, and we're going to have a superhero comic book tie-in to that. And it fell apart, but they kept the character. And so Claremont isn't, she's not one of his inspirations, or that's backwards, but she wasn't a character that came from his inspiration. She was a character that was mandated into the book that he is the first one to handle.
Yeah, manufactured, really.
Yeah. But they make something of her in the end anyway. So it's kind of neat. There are no male heroes on this cover.
No.
And that isn't really noteworthy, except that it's rare. We wouldn't normally see this on a team book where there are still 4 men on the team actively, plus Banshee's hanging around, Professor X is around, but yeah, we get all women on the cover, which is different and cool to see. But maybe we should dive in. What do you think?
I think we can just get going here.
All right,
get going into this darn here comic here.
So I mentioned before that Scott and Lee are stranded. They were on a boat, and really strangely, they capsize and get washed ashore in their jean shorts. They're tiny, 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 oh so sexy jean
shorts.
Yeah, and coloring water on a character never looks good in comics. In the 4 color process, it's milk or jizz. Like, it's always a problem. So it doesn't ever look right to make a character look wet. It doesn't read well. But when you're a kid, you don't know otherwise. It just, as long as it works.
I'm amazed that Lee's top is able to stay on.
Safety pins, maybe.
Safety pins.
So, yeah, they wash ashore. And there's a missed opportunity, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, maybe, that while they get washed ashore, just shortly after, Storm is captured and she's imprisoned, and she rages a massive continental storm in the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf. And it would have been a perfect time that her lashing out would make this ship capsize. But they capsize for no explainable reason. It's not part of any narrative. That they're just one day they're on a boat together, and the next day that they're not. They're washed ashore. So it was really strange. I'm not sure we're ever going to get any explanation about that, but I found that still I'm bothered by it.
Super strange. And Cyclops is ripped.
Oh yeah, and then this guy's been training since he was a kid.
Yeah.
So he's a professional athlete essentially, mixed with his mutant strength. And I mean, I know he's not super powered in that respect, but I always think that those guys are always just a little bit stronger than a regular person anyway, because they're awesome mutants. Anyway, so there they are. They've seen, when they're on their island, they see that there is like a city that's appeared in the bay, or just off the shore of their island. So I guess they've gone to see, how could there be a city there? What's going on? How is this even possible? And Cyclops does not have any of the equipment he needs to be able to restrain his optic blasts. So he has to bind his eyes.
And close them too, I imagine. Like they're closed.
Right, so he closes them, binds them, so he can't see. So he's at a huge disadvantage. And the sky is blood red. For reasons. All right. Are you ready, sir?
Sure.
Pryde Mutant. This issue is called.
Mutant.
Days ago, Scott Summers, who as Cyclops is the former leader of a team of mutant superheroes, the Uncanny X-Men, and Aletis Forrester, captain, owner of the fishing trawler Arcadia, were washed overboard during a freak storm, which wasn't the storm that Storm made, which is really... Both were swept ashore on a remote, uninhabited island deep within the infamous Bermuda Triangle. Since then, they've been struggling to survive. Now, however, their situation has changed dramatically, but whether for better or worse, no one can say.
I don't believe this. I don't want to believe it. Yesterday, this island wasn't here. It didn't exist. And this city...
Anything is improvement on that sandpit we came from. At least here we might find some food and water. You mentioned a city, Lee. What does it look like? Great question.
Tell me, Lee. Tell me.
Whoa.
We go from splash page to double splash page. And now my book is out of... the pagination is off. So I don't have it as a double splash. I have it as a single and then another single after.
This is
that
actually
was awesome. Yeah,
this
it's super cool.
This looks pretty great. For all the knocks that we take at certain art direction from Cockrum, this looks pretty great.
Yeah. I'd love to be able to draw that.
Might start tomorrow.
To be honest, Scott, I'm not quite sure I can describe it. Whatever it is, wherever it came from, it's old. It's been underwater for a long time. Watch your step. These marble stairs are coated with seaweed. They're slippery.
I already see where this is going. And really neat to see just like the graphic design of like those panels on that angle.
Yeah.
But what a weird choice to have the word balloons at an angle too.
So strange.
I've never seen that.
So strange.
It is very odd. Are we in shadow? Suddenly it feels cold.
It's partly that, but this city has such an alien feel to it. Like the movie Alien. It gives me the willies. We've reached level ground, some kind of boulevard. The statuary all relates to the sea. This could be a ceremonial gateway. Wow,
She's really reaching here.
Yeah, she is.
are you okay, Scott? You've tensed up.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time dealing with being led around like this. Blindfolded as I am, I feel so blasted helpless.
To each cloud, its silver lining. At least you're spared the sight of the shocking state of our wardrobe.
What wardrobe?
My point, exactly. Claremont.
Yeah. Oh, it gets better.
Oh, I know it does.
Leading the way, they begin exploring the vast ancient city. But by nightfall, They've only managed to scratch the surface. It's been 2 days since Lee learned of my optic blasts, yet she hasn't questioned me about them. Why? Does she expect me to make the first move? There's a fun little mistakenness in that in the drawing.
Yeah.
There was a line for the edge of that fallen sculpture that
Yeah.
has crept into the word balloon. It looks like the letter I, but it isn't.
Ah,
You just need a little erase.
okay.
It should start with the word how. How can I tell her about Cyclops without involving the other X-Men? I trust her with my secret. I trust her with my life. But what right do I have to compromise my friends? I don't want to lie to her. I'm not sure I can.
No food, no water, no clothes, no people, but we've shelter in abundance.
Care to take advantage of it?
Her lips are as soft, as gentle as her touch. The kiss is tender. For a moment, Scott responds, and then, Lee, don't, please.
What's wrong? Is it Jean?
Her name was Jean Grey. We were in love. She died. I like you, Lee. I care for you too much. But it's too soon. I don't want to get involved again.
I'm not asking for involvement. I know how you feel, Scott. I know about grief and loss. We buried my father 2 months ago, remember? But I'm cold and hungry and scared. I need a little human warmth and compassion and companionship. And if that's more than you can give, then to blazes with you.
She runs away, and Cyclops is left naked and afraid. Lee?
Lee?
Yeah, it's a really interesting scene. I love that like they're in this alien city that's been at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
She guesses. And she's like, no one's here. Let's get it on.
Yeah.
That's Claremont for you.
It is. It's like all his fantasies come true. I can
Yeah.
write them into a comic book.
For sure. Cyclops continues. Brilliant. I'm alone and deservedly so. When I put my mind to it, I can be a real creep. I never had this problem with Jean, but then she was a telepath. She could read my thoughts, sense what I really meant. I'm not used to dealing with people outside the unique, high-pressure environment of the X-Men. That's partially why I took this sabbatical, to learn. Ow! My foot! I'm falling! I hit hard, but nothing seems broken. It's this blindfold. I don't know where I am, where I'm going, or what is around me. The irony is that I can see perfectly. All I have to do is open my eyes.
Irony!
Con eyes. With that, raw energy rips upward through the evening sky, a beam of force, irresistible, uncontrollable. Those mutant optic blasts have been Scott Summers' blessing and curse for most of his adult life. What am I doing? I could have smashed anything, killed anyone in my line of sight. Without my special ruby quartz glasses, the only way I can contain these beams is by shutting my eyes. By keeping my eyes shut, pardon me. I'm just making sense of words without reading them. The condition is incurable. I can never relax my guard or make a careless move. I can never lead a normal life. But will wallowing in self-pity change that? Make things better? No. That sound. A footstep. Lee?
Hi.
I'm sorry, Scott. I shouldn't have run out on you. I guess we both needed to blow off a little steam.
I'm sorry, too. I didn't mean to slap you down. Not literally, of course. I'm afraid, Lee, of taking another risk and being hurt.
Life is a risk. All the way down the line.
I'm glad you came back. I need you.
We need each other.
And then they do what people do.
When you're in an underground city.
I actually like that the angle that they're taking, or that Chris Claremont is taking with Scott as a character, with being that I only know how to deal with people in the setting of high stakes, high pressure combat and military training with these clear roles and like these objectives. I don't actually know how to be vulnerable and share my fear. I'm interested actually in that. I know this is heavy-handed. Again, the target audience is a child, and Claremont is tasked with writing a child's story, but he interjects like a pretty grown-up theme into that, and I respect that. That was a good choice, and it does make sense. Like he has been in a relationship with someone who can intuit everything he's thinking and the real sentiment behind them, and as someone who is often perceived disconnected from intention, I actually really relate to that. This idea that it's always a relief to be around someone who I don't have to explain what I really mean. They get it. And so I dig this, actually. Just saying.
There you go.
Yeah.
Scott Summers, look at it growing as a human being. Look at Scott Summers.
Yes.
David Cutler would be happy to hear that.
Night passes, and two lonely young people find peace in each other's arms, drawing what strength they can from their still fragile emotional bond, while trying not to think of what will happen to that bond in the future. One night stand. Both are aware that the question may become academic if they don't soon find food and water and antibiotics. Meanwhile, because of STDs, far to the north, on the grounds of Professor Charles Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, secret headquarters of the X-Men, in the New York suburb of Salem Center, Wolverine hunts. That is a mouthful, by the way. Like it's a clause within a clause within a clause. That is a lot of clauses.
Can't help myself.
And then I'm just going to criticize the art for a moment. That pose of Wolverine walking across the grounds, terrible. He's standing upright and constipated. If Wolverine is hunting, I want to see at least a cool stealth walk or an animalistic pose. But this is very half-hearted. Anyway, I'm going to continue.
He's on his way to blasting Dookie.
His quarry is fellow X-Man, Nightcrawler, whose indigo skin renders him virtually invisible in the pre-dawn shadows.
Wolverine's following my trail. I went deep into the woods before doubling back by teleporting into this tree. With the breeze blowing from behind him, Wolverine shouldn't be able to pick up my scent. Oops, I may have spoken too soon. He stopped.
Wolverine stands motionless for a moment. Then...
Oh, Ungler Black Blick. He disappeared. My German is getting worse and worse. But where did he go?
Nightcrawler waits and watches for any sign of his friend. But when, after a long while, nothing stirs. Ungablik. He teleports down to the ground. His departure is marked by the soft sound of imploding air, also known as the reverse fart. His is a... His arrival, a split second later, is silent but deadly, though he materializes in a burst of sulfurous fire. He has no idea what causes both the pyrotechnic display and the accompanying brimstone stench. I should have said, he has no idea what causes both the pyrotechnic display and the accompanying stench, brimstone stench.
Could have been that block of cheese he ate.
But he wishes there was some way to get rid of them. Just interject for a second. There is this repeating trend in all these issues of talking about Nightcrawler's smell as if it is a problem that we're going to one day solve, as like part of his, like all the X-Men graduate and they each get to like go up to the podium and say the thing that they're like. Wolverine's like, I learned to control my temper. Storm says, I learned to get over my claustrophobia. Kitty's like, I learned to be a hero. Cyclops is, I learned to be emotionally vulnerable and tell people how I really feel while putting them through life and death situations. And Nightcrawler's like, my farts don't stink. Like,
I no longer smell like farts, friends.
his character arc goals are a little low. You know what I mean? The only thing about his mutant powers he's trying to fix is to smell less terrible.
Less farty.
I find that funny to watch. Like I'm tracking this as we go through these issues. But he wishes there was some way to get rid of them. And never more so than now. Surprise, sucker!
Verfit Earth!
As Nightcrawler falls, stunned and breathless, momentarily too groggy to teleport to safety, unbreakable, razor-sharp adamantium claws unnecessarily extend from the back of Wolverine's hand. Game's over, Elf. And you lose.
Wolverine, don't.
Shucks, I missed. Scared you, didn't I? Serves you right, Kurt, after making a dumb butt move like that.
I should have stayed in the tree as me and my dumb butt.
No fooling.
Your disappearance rattled me. How did you do that, Logan? I have never taken my eyes off you.
Logan got a technique from Drax, the Destroyer, in Infinity War. That's what he did. He's eating those Zarg nuts.
Zarg nuts. I just watched that tonight.
You watched Infinity War?
I watched the holiday special.
Oh, okay.
And they talk about Zarg nuts.
They do, actually.
Yeah.
So Wolverine's explanation for how he disappeared, I love this.
This is hilarious.
It's an old ninja trick, standing in plain sight without being seen. I learned it in Japan. You know, Elf, I really enjoy these improvised training sessions. A heck of a lot more than our workouts in the danger room, especially since the loser buys the beer. How many cases do you owe me now, anyway? Really odd. They just
also
in plain sight. He disappeared.
It also, I love that. Also, it begs the question if Nightcrawler wins, like he's drinking cases of beer. I don't think so.
Well, maybe it's like little, I guess.
It's actually just Jägermeister. Fine, Elf. Here's another bottle of Yag.
We also have this reoccurring trope in Chris Claremont X-Men where in training sessions, Wolverine pops his claws.
Every time. I wonder if it's just, you know how it's that Jim Shooter, every comic is their first comic.
I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Right? We demonstrate that he has claws every issue.
And then he's dangerous, which is a good segue to where we're actually headed for this next scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That people, they are threatened by him, and no one more so than his teammate and veteran X-Man and new member to the new X-Men, Angel, Warren Worthington III. Good old WW3.
That's right. W to the 3.
I also love that they're wearing their costumes around, and I get it. It's much more exciting to look at characters in costumes than it is to look at characters that are dressed in their civilian clothes. At that moment, inside the mansion's dining room, would you like me to read Storm and you read Angel?
Sure, let's do that.
Thunder clouds, but the sky was clear a moment ago. My subconscious is manifesting my anger. Through my ability to control the weather, I'm reading this very bad. Let me start that one sentence again. Here we go. My subconscious is manifesting my anger through my ability to control the weather. I haven't been so careless with my mutant power since I was a child. This argument with Angel has upset me more than I realized.
Professor, Wolverine is dangerous.
With her mind, Aurora, the X-Men's leader, reaches into the heart of the nascent Storm and, as casually as she summoned it, sends it away. Therefore, Angel, we should abandon him.
Storm, he's a born killer. When he's faced Dr. Doom's robot version of you, he destroyed it without an instant's hesitation. All right, maybe his enhanced senses told him it was a robot, but would it have made any difference if he'd faced a woman disguised as you? I think not, and it scares me, Professor. You're the world's greatest authority on mutants. You founded the X-Men. You know us probably better than we know ourselves. I'd like to assume you have a logical reason for keeping that little psychopath around.
That's like exactly what you're saying about it being someone's first issue, right? Like saying you're the world's greatest authority on mutants. You founded the team. Okay, so now we know what his deal is.
Exactly.
Cool.
I've tried to relate to him, work with him, but the more I know him, the antsier I get, Professor. Storm, I'm at the point where I'm not sure if I want to belong to any outfit that has Wolverine as a member.
Does that include The human race. Boom.
Ooh, Storm, bring in the
Cerebro drop.
yeah, Cerebro drop.
I, too, abhor Wolverine's violent nature. But he is not an X-Man because of his perfect, sterling character. It is because of his potential for good. Our duty as X-Men is to help him achieve that potential. To deny Wolverine would be to deny our true reason for being. Why does Angel not understand that? He does, Storm. You always laugh when I do Professor X.
I love you, Professor X.
Thank you. He does, Storm. But he wonders if that goal is worth the cost. I must confess that occasionally, so do I. Now, I like, again, like Storm has gone on this arc where she's come into the team all innocent, 50 issues ago. And actually, no, I wouldn't say innocent. I would say just not accustomed to the ways of the North American city, and the North American ways and the superhero ways. She's been living a very fulfilling life, in Kenya, in rural areas, being essentially a weather goddess and being worshipped. And she comes into the team pretty just naive about how she's going to, I don't know, navigate the dynamics within the group, but she gains trust with everyone so quickly, and they all respect her so much that when it comes time and she shows good judgment a lot of the time, that she gets named leader in Cyclops' absence. And this paragraph that she speaks there is like right out of Professor X's toolkit. We got to work together, all that kind of stuff, where that could have been his dialogue, if not hers, which is really great. That
she's a natural born leader. Like
that's how she's portrayed for sure.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to just foreshadow, which is going to make the next 50 issues that much more interesting, simply for Storm, because we're going to get to see Claremont take this character and flip her on her head, and become, again, like from, maybe the token female when the series starts to being people's absolute favorite character, which is really cool how he's able to do that with, Wolverine. And then we're going to see him do it with the Storm soon. But it often comes from breaking the character down and building them back up.
Right.
So very cool. So let's see how that plays out over the next year.
Next year of us Tuesday night live streams. Only here on Previously in X-Men, people.
Exactly. Because on kayfabe, they only do like one issue every year. Come on.
They did one, they gave up.
No, well, they've done two. They did Giant Size #1 and then they did 94.
True.
And they filmed it 94, maybe right after Giant Size. Like they filmed it a long time ago.
You'd think so. When they were talking about 94, they're talking about Warpath and his ending, and all I could think about was, but they didn't mention the Anti-Men.
Oh, I thought they did. That they were like stupid DC style villains or something. And it wasn't Warpath. It's Warpath's brother, but yes.
Oh, it's they call him Warpath, don't they?
They made reference to that. Okay, because of course I have Thunderbird.
Thunderbird, sorry.
So Ed did. He was saying in the context of, when I saw this, I thought it was cool because I thought it was Warpath.
Oh, okay.
Because that's his context for those characters that he was coming in, 10 years or 5 years later than me.
Right.
So Warpath was reintroduced at that point.
And is Warpath, is it New Mutants? No.
Yeah, he comes in. So we're going to see in a little while, in a matter of, I guess, years or months. He is a member of Emma Frost's school. There's like a Hellfire counterpart school called the Hellions.
That's right.
And he and a few other characters are members, and they are like the antithesis of the New Mutants.
Of course. Right.
And so he'll tussle and he'll come in as a bad guy, and eventually he'll make his way in as a good guy onto New Mutants, which gets renamed, of course, X-Force.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just going to skip because, this doesn't really add too much. We need to just get, I guess, to the plot here of the issue.
Sure.
But Peter, who is superpowered with strength, he's living organic steel, and the now depowered, injured Sean Cassidy. Oh no, I got to hear you do your Sean Cassidy.
Well, there's like 2 pages of it, so yeah.
Okay, so we'll do the second page then, because the first one's all you. They're working on the the Blackbird, as they're always doing, which is cool. And it's nice to see that Peter's little sister's there, who later will grow up to be a member of the New Mutants, an extremely powerful member. And we see her in the New Mutants movie, of course, played by Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yes, I believe that is the one.
Yeah, it's like Marjorie Taylor Greene. What? Don't say that.
I think it's Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Oh yeah, that's right, for sure. I think that's perfect casting, by the way, because she can really play that. She looks the part and plays the part.
Oh,
really well.
she does.
But anyway, so yeah, she's just a little, as we would say, a little pisher, like just a little kid in this one. But I love that, they're working on this thing together, helping, and she's there to have a laugh and hoping that she grows up. Maybe she's going to turn into Organic Steel too. And of course, when Nightcrawler arrives, there's the trope of the stink.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's just done with some fun cartooning. There you go.
Yeah.
So Banshee's called away to go talk to the professor.
Yeah.
Soon.
Charles, I beg your pardon, miss. I was looking for Professor Xavier. I'm Sean Cassidy. Can I help you?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Do you want me to do the Irish girl thing?
Is she raised in the States or perhaps
Let's
suburban Toronto?
Yes, there you go. I believe suburban Toronto.
I'm Teresa York. Your cousin Tom asked me to give you this. To give ye this. Oh, she's Irish. I'll explain who I am and why I'm here. Black Tom Cassidy is a rogue, and he and Sean are old, bitter foes, yet Banshee never doubts the truth of what he reads. He married young for love, and they'd had a glorious honeymoon together before duty summoned him away. That means they did the thing.
They did it. Just
when he returned, Maeve Rourke Cassidy was dead.
Teresa, do you know what this says?
I do, Father. Standing over his wife's grave.
Saints be praised.
Sean thought his heart would crack with grief. Now, facing the daughter he never knew he had, he wonders if it will break with joy. Nearby, Professor Xavier has been telepathically eavesdropping like a creep on the scene, and the other X-Men come in, and Spider-Woman, and you can see Moira in the back there, giving the stink eye.
Giving the stick eye. Oh, Moira.
Yeah, that is also the most Superman-looking, or maybe Bruce Wayne-looking Colossus.
Oh, yeah.
He is not as round-faced as he is in other times. And Wolverine's not even smiling. Come on.
No.
But anyway. But one woman doesn't completely share the other's happiness. Moira?
Dr. McTaggart, is anything the matter? No, Spider-Woman. I'm fine. I'm just stepping out for a breath of air.
Oh, lifesaver sleeping bags.
Wish I had one right now.
Moira, we are friends. Something is troubling you. I would like to help if I may.
I'm glad for Sean, Aurora. I'm also frightened and jealous, and a wee bit ashamed. I love him. He loves me, but now he has someone else to love. I see Teresa as a rival, and I find myself resenting her for that.
She's gonna die. I know what you mean. I see Stevie Hunter, Kitty's dance teacher, the same way, as a threat to the special relationship I have with Kitty.
Teresa represents something I cannot give Sean. A child. I had one and he turned into a mutant monster. I didn't have another. Sean says it doesn't matter to him, but it does to me. I, Wind Rider, we're both facing some rough days ahead, I fear.
We'll survive, Moira. Whatever happens.
Will we? I hope so.
Okay. I think it's neat. Again, these characters are talking about their feelings so much.
Yeah.
It is not an action comic. This is really about people getting through these situations.
Not so far, yeah.
Situations, and they're having strong emotional reactions to new things. And as an adult, I'm enjoying it that there is the drama. And I think at the time it was pretty unusual to have these sweeping dramas over multiple, like over years. You know, it wasn't just happening for 2 or 3 issues, but there are a few of these hints at things that we've seen play out for a long time. It's been probably about a year since we saw that. No, it couldn't have been a year.
Maybe
But with
half
the
year.
thing with Stevie Hunter and like the
Yeah.
tension that Storm had, like that. Like I don't know how that's playing out, but that is something true to what Claremont has put in place.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not an artist decision to do these things. This is when you have a person who sees themselves as like this grand writer, where he really is injecting the series with things that no other series have at the time.
Right.
So, just to be a little bit expedient here, we get the introduction of a kind of ragman, garbage wearing, fully covered. I don't even know what the guy is. He introduces himself. He speaks about himself in the third person, calls himself Caliban, which is, of course, a reference to a character from Shakespeare. What, from the
Midsummer
Tempest?
Night's Dream?
Oh, Midsummer Night's Dream. Is it?
Is it? Maybe not. Let me find it.
You're looking.
Of course.
If I'm right, you owe me a Coke.
The Tempest. I always forget about the Tempest, which is really kind of like a Midsummer's-esque, not sequel, but it's very much in the Sorcerer, Prospero. Yeah, okay. The Tempest.
All right. So we get this guy coming out of a manhole in New York, and I do not know what that sign is, the Elzo Crot. Is that something?
I have no idea.
Look it up, Sanagan.
Elzo Crot, New York. The Elzo Crot.
As you type that into Google, within seconds, the police will be there to pick you up because it's some sort of
Whoop,
code.
whoop, whoop. No, nothing.
Okay. So Caliban speaks of himself in the third person. You and I both know of a character named Caliban.
We do.
And it does not... Well, don't you?
We do. I said we do, yeah.
Yes. And it doesn't align with what I'm seeing here.
Not this introduction, no.
I find it unfortunate they miscolored the moon, by the way, in that middle tier.
Oh, goodness. Yes, you're right.
I don't know if it would have made a huge difference or not. The panel reads loud and clear already on its own. And interesting use to make those clouds. That's like the grease pencil thing. That's, yeah.
Now, is this another first appearance issue? Is this Caliban's debut?
I don't think it is. I think he appeared in an issue of Spider-Woman.
Okay.
Are you typing it up?
I'm doing that now.
Okay, cool.
Caliban Marvel first appearance. And of course played to memorable effect.
Right.
In the Logan movie.
I wasn't going to get there yet, but yes.
Well, okay.
As well.
Uncanny X-Men 148.
This is Caliban's first appearance.
This is Caliban.
Okay. So Cockrum gets credited with being a co-creator of Caliban, which will later get like revamped in an interesting way. He also is, by the way, in X-Men Apocalypse. If you remember, he is a underground finder of things, like a guy you could buy a passport from or information.
Yes, you're right. Here we go.
And his performance, or the performance of Caliban in that movie, is really affected. Like the character has interesting affectations and is creepy and speaks about itself in the third person, whereas the version in Logan is a great portrayal. Actually, really good acting. Just
Stephen Merchant. Yeah.
Stephen Merchant just doesn't play him in the third person style, or he doesn't feel like a character that was excluded from humanity the way that this character is. So this one's coming from the sewers. So we get a night out. Stevie Hunter, Jessica Drew, which is Spider-Woman, Aurora, and Kitty Pryde are going on a night out into New York City, into Manhattan, to go see their friend the Dazzler perform. And that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
They have some chats, and they do the chatting, and they're having a good time, and we don't have to read it because...
No, there's a ton.
Yeah. So they're chatting and talking about this and that. And then Caliban makes his way in, and he displays that he can sense characters with power.
Yes.
He doesn't really know exactly what they are, but we just need to really shout out here to Joe and Rudy. I don't know if you knew this was also Joe and Rudy's first appearance.
Yeah.
But we've noticed, and if this is your first time watching our show or listening, Chris Claremont loves to give names to the extras and supporting characters, the one-time appearance role players, the people from
The Tobys, the Phillips.
yes, and the John or the Joe and Rudy's. So the security guards get names, and we're never going to see them again. But yeah, they always get a name, and it's hilarious. So they see this massive shadow of this character.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's projecting the shadow, or his clothing just makes him look bigger than he is. But people have a very hostile reaction to a character dressed this way.
You'd think.
And so is the reader supposed to. I'm gonna suggest that this reminds me of like Beta Ray Bill. That when like the premise of Beta Ray Bill was for a character to look like a monster but to have the heart of a hero.
Right.
And so when Simonson creates him, he intentionally chooses some, odd looking elements for his physicality so that the reader will assume that this is the villain or the enemy that Thor must defeat, when in fact, he turns out to be, the purest hearted, the most pure hearted of the bunch. And you kind of learn not to judge a book by its cover. And this is something similar to me where Caliban is making terrible clothing choices. And so everyone thinks he's a monster.
Yes.
But look at that Dungeons and Dragons ad. Holy Gamboli.
Sweet. Sweet D&D.
Squish slosh.
Ooh, speaking of squishing and sloshing.
Oh, yes.
Super Slurpy Fun Game. Super fun, happy slide.
Exactly.
Super Slurpy Fun Game.
So it looks like he projects a shadow or a silhouette or an aura of some kind.
Yeah.
Which is the purple thing we see on the cover.
Yes. But again, we're not quite sure what's going on. Emotions swirl like riptides around Caliban. He absorbs them all silently, screaming at the agony they cause him.
Yes,
and then converts their power. Yeah, palpable physical force. Huh?
So this is a version of the character we are not going to see in the future. This is like for this one time, he has this thing where he reacts to people's emotions, and of course, he's provoking a particular emotion by running around in shadowy garb, in torn rags and such. And so he basically, he's rubber and you're glue, and whatever you feel bounces off him and sticks to you. Okay, I'm so glad I did that. Now, of course, the women upstairs at the party or at the club, they're starting to hear maybe something bad is happening, like gunshots. And eventually Dazzler comes on. She puts on her show. And they're starting
without roller skates. That was the thing I noticed.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah.
No roller skates.
It's disappointing, I suppose.
Her name is Allison Blair, and she loves doing what she does best, which is she has the power, for those who don't know, she's a mutant, and she has the power to convert sound into light. So when she's making music, she's actually like powering up and then delivers a light show that dazzles. And she can focus that light that she generates into the most fine laser blasts when she trains and becomes a member of the team.
Oh, is that what she does? Is that how she
pew pew pew? Yeah.
Cool. Interesting.
Maybe. And there is an action figure of that iteration of the Dazzler.
And speaking of X-Men movies, she does make an appearance in X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Phoenix. And she's portrayed as a singer at their bonfire.
Their party, their little X party.
Yeah.
Very much in that kind of garb too, with the makeup and everything.
Oh yeah, I was into that. I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't they? Like they work hard and play hard, so I would imagine they have some awesome parties. And yeah, Dazzler, go for it. So it continues with Caliban projecting, this emotional aura out to people, and people are freaking out, and he's getting stronger, and he's looking for something, right? He's looking for
drawn to
sure what. He's drawn to something. That's a good way to phrase it. So Jessica Drew and Storm decide they need to get involved, but before they know it, Kitty goes under the table, changes her clothes, and phases through the floor into the elevator shaft, falls, and then, realizes how to manage her powers. Always fun to draw cross sections, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So Kitty's figuring it out. Cripes. And Dazzler realizes something's going on and that she needs to provide a distraction.
Yeah.
So she finds she improvising off a wild guitar riff. Dazzler launches into a series of complex arpeggios, the light show transforming her into a rainbow-colored star as her voice gaily races up and down the harmonic scale. Wow.
Woo.
Yes. Incredible. And so the Jessica Drew and Aurora run off, change their clothes in the hallway, which is always kind of ridiculous as an idea. I love the idea that characters can transform into their heroic counterparts. Yeah, with unstable molecules as the workaround. But Storm, we've seen her lightening up, and I just think it's an awesome way to just go from being Aurora to being Storm in a flash. It's right. Very cool. Anyway, the whole thing continues, and we get this weird color hold villain who is absorbing emotions, and then Kitty encounters him. And I have to say, that panel where Caliban grabs her arm, I feel like that looks like Byrne and Austin a little bit. That looks like a stronger drawing. I think that the combination of Rubenstein over Cockrum, I think it's starting to pay off a little bit. They're seeming to find a rhythm. And I think things are looking tighter in this issue than the previous couple.
Yeah.
It feels a little less goofy. A little.
A teeny bit. I would agree with that, yeah. But I feel they can't. Please. I feel like with Caliban, they can't decide what his power set is. So it's he does his emotion thing, but then he's suddenly in physical form, and he's strong. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can't really make their mind up. It's kind of confusing.
So he wants Kitty, and again, it's that he's drawn to her. He senses they are alike. And he doesn't know why they're attacking him. So he seems to be really kind of naive too. And he obviously is very strong. Now, in your copy, I got to say, I can see it a little bit. In this high-detailed version that I have here, it's very clear that they are intentionally drawing Spider-Woman's costume to be painted on a woman's form as opposed to clothing.
Really?
The backside is one thing, but in almost every single image of her in costume, there is an intentional brush stroke, like a lightening up of the brush stroke around where the nipple would be, to create the illusion of a bit of a pointed nipple and more light hitting it. It's just very apparent,
right?
And just unfortunately so typical. But yeah, naked women. I really like her costume, I have to say. I know it's all weird and kitschy, but I find her costume striking and villainous.
Yeah.
I think she looks like a kind of like a badass. Anyway. And there is a Marvel Legends of that costume.
Oh yeah.
And it's great. Unfortunately, it only has single jointed elbows, so she can't get into a wide array of poses, but the sculpt of the body is very dynamic, and they don't use that body anymore because it's too buxom.
Oh, okay.
And they've just dialed it back a little bit, having a little bit more less dynamic proportions and more subtle. Anyway, then they fight.
They fight.
And there's some smashing of characters. There's a punch to the face.
Well, and you get some super strength here, right? He pushes punches.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she really goes flying. Caliban goes down the elevator shaft. As I think we all want to try one day. Don't you want to try this?
Absolutely.
You get hold of those elevator cables and ride down without catching fire from the friction. And then Storm makes a signal to Dazzler. Dazzler continues to,
Dazzle.
dazzle.
Yeah, I
as
mean,
best she
look at
can.
those faces in that third panel on the second page there.
That's right. She hypnotizes them,
She
right?
is hypnotizing them, yeah.
She casts a spell to relieve the panic, and Storm goes down the elevator shaft, having to fight off her claustrophobia. Stevie Hunter is like on the level here. Like she knows what's going on. I forgot do we know that she knew who the X-Men were? Oh, of course, because she got kidnapped by Doctor Doom's by Arcade's people in the last arc. Forgive me. So Stevie Hunter has been initiated into the fold of characters and does know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of Spider-Woman in this issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, guest stars aplenty, right? This is the MO at the moment.
And the next panel, we get something real boring. Just him running out with Kitty Pryde in hand. And Spider-Woman, end of the line, ugly. And they have the tussle, and, she zaps him. He zaps her. Fighting. And then Storm gets in there, shoots that lightning bolt. And then they unmask Caliban. And now we see a little bit of this toothless, bug-eyed. Yeah. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. I just wanted to have a friend.
Exactly. Is he a Morlock?
So,
or does that become like a retcon thing?
That becomes a retcon thing. The Morlocks do not exist at this point.
Okay.
So they will, I think in about maybe 15 issues or so, will be introduced to the Morlocks.
Oh, okay.
And he will be written into that. So this idea of him being a sewer person who is alone gets kind of written out, and he becomes a sewer person who's part of a group. And he's sorry, so he puts his fedora back on, and he's going to go back into the sewer. It's just really weird. They fought a sewer dude.
Is he, now remind me, in the X-Men animated series in the 90s, is he the kid Morlock?
No. So the two kids are Archie and Leech.
Leech, I'm thinking of Leech.
And so Archie and Leech, Leech, of course, is power suck.
Yes.
So your powers don't exist when he's within proximity. And Archie, if memory serves, is a telepath that can project the visual of what you're thinking.
Huh.
I think he's mute. So he's non-verbal, but he can project people's thoughts in a PowerPoint presentation. And the two of them are both, described as sort of freakish looking, one being kind of pink and one being green. And they're both these kid mutant freaks that are not going to be accepted in society. So they become fast friends, and their little bond is adorable.
Okay.
Archie and Leech, oh my God. I haven't thought about them in ages.
Yeah. And then the cops come.
Yep. And they realize that we gotta let this guy go because it's just gonna go bad.
Now, if Wolverine was here, he would have already torn through.
But basically, this is like a no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Never go live your life.
Yeah.
We are gonna get drunk.
Well, I mean, they're sitting at the table with the star of the show. That's
totally.
Yeah. Although, I guess, is that Kitty there, the red hair in that first panel?
Yes.
She looks much older and not like Kitty at all.
Yeah. But Jessica Drew looks awesome. Aurora looks awesome.
Yep.
Stevie Hunter looks awesome in her own way. And I can't even imagine figuring out how I would draw the braided hair, and the beads and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see it up close, it really is just a series of dabs with a pen or a brush. It's just, I love how these guys know how to translate something complicated into something simple, and it works in black and white. So that ends no harm, no foul, and just move on. And Kitty listens. It says, Kitty listens in silence, her own thoughts deep and somber. Since first meeting the X-Men, she's always felt uncomfortable around Nightcrawler, not because of his personality, but solely because of his appearance. Tonight's encounter with Caliban has shown her the cost of such an attitude. She hopes, with Nightcrawler, it isn't too late to try to make amends. Now, that's a little ridiculous because this guy does break in, like, charge into a place. There are gunshots. He is wearing clothes that do set off alarms with you if you saw him. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, but it's that part of that, I guess, that journey piece, because they've peppered that throughout about how she plays being scared by Nightcrawler. And so she learns a lesson after almost being stolen and taken into the sewers. It works out in the end, but it's a good lesson to learn.
Which, the funnier thing about this is the most exciting part of this issue is the two people on the Bermuda Triangle Island. Like, I'm more interested in that story now because the New York story is just so boring.
Well, and they keep getting it on.
They do. Anyway,
again, how is that shirt staying on? Who knows?
So the two castaways are recovering in their post-coital glow. And they're talking. They still want to find some food. He says he could use his optic blast to stun some fish. That's so funny. Anyway, and then they are interrupted. Would you like to do this voice?
Sure, I could try.
All right.
Do you want to do the last panel? Or
no? I would start with the
okay.
Or right after it.
Oh, I see. I thought my island was deserted. How pleasant to discover that I was mistaken.
That voice, it can't be.
Oh man, are we glad to see you.
Lee, whatever you do, don't mention my name, he thinks to himself. If he hears that, if he heard me refer to my optic blasts, if he even suspects who I truly am, we're both as good as dead. By the way, that's a Daredevil picture.
Oh,
doesn't that look like Matt Murdock to you?
Totally Murdock.
Like that's a good drawing though.
It is.
I think I think these two guys are like, again, the close-ups when they draw bigger figures. Rubenstein over Cockrum, it looks good when they're enlarged figures. Those poses that are small and fill a panel, I don't always enjoy, but this is a great drawing. We're both as good as dead.
I am Magneto. I bid you welcome to my new home. Though your arrival was unanticipated, I shall do all I can to ensure that your stay is as pleasant as possible.
As the host
entry.
Yes, and that pose.
Yeah. Not as good as a splash of Magneto from that other one.
Right. Like from maybe 103.
Something like that.
When they fight in 104.
Yeah, when he's at the nuclear base.
Yeah. As the host speaks, Scott feels a fist of ice close tight around his heart. Alone in the middle of nowhere.
That's no fist.
With an innocent woman by his side and no way to escape, much less summon assistance. He stands face to face with the master of magnetism, the X-Men's oldest, deadliest foe. He can't wait to see what happens next. And the dead shall bury the living. Ooh. So, yeah, it's a good ending splash. I do like, that this is a reveal. This is Magneto is in some kind of building in some kind of city that's in the middle of the ocean for some reason.
It's at a Magneto fortress.
How does he get a city from underwater? I don't know. I want to see what happens. I'm looking for a bookmark here. Come on, bookmark.
He is the master of magnetism. He will.
Yeah, it's just really, really weird stuff. This is a weird issue that if no one ever read, it might not be a problem. Any cool letters?
Any cool?
Or is it just the bullpen bulletin?
That's the bullpen.
Hey, what does it say there about the two different branding like the diamond and the square or rectangle. Can you read what that says? Are you able to?
The Diamond Dilemma?
Yeah, like what is that?
Many collectors have inquired about the two different types of covers they've seen on Marvel Comics. One type has the prism, maybe, issue number, and some strange numbers and symbols in little boxes like this. First one. Another has the price, date, and issue number in a different shape, like so. The reason for the two different covers is that our comics are something two different ways.
Manufactured, printed.
Circulated. No, circulated. Circulated
Okay.
two different ways. Some reach the public via the Curtis Circulation Company and a network of independent distributor wholesalers who service newsstands and drugstores, 7-Elevens, and other magazine outfits across the country. These comics, whose covers have the little boxes, they carry the Curtis seal, and presumably the strange number means something to wholesaler type people. So that's the first one, wholesaler. A substantial number of our comics are not distributed by Curtis. However, these comics go directly to comics specialty shops and other locations not served as ID wholesalers. So now there's your difference. We're getting comics sent to comic stores versus comics sent to drugstores and 7-Elevens. Since these comics aren't handled by Curtis, they don't need the funny little numbers and can't carry the Curtis seal, hence the artful diamond design, which so beautifully sets off the remaining info. Clever, huh? That's the scoop. So I wonder if that turns into what we become Diamond.
Oh, well, it doesn't turn into Diamond. I mean, Diamond is his own company.
No. I just wonder if there is some connection there. Some
that's like the inspiration for the name,
right?
I wonder. That's very possible, but my instinct says no. But who knows? Yeah, that's bizarre. Is there a page after this, or just the back cover, or what? I feel like there's a letters page coming. Oh, just the ads. Okay,
just ads. Just ads.
Look at that Yoda. This is Yoda and Vader on drugs.
Amazing.
That is great. There you go. So that is issue 148. If you don't need to read it, don't read it.
People, there's your...
Yeah, it's a go-between issue, right? It's like getting you from one story to another, and now we're into this, Magneto thing that's going to be at least maybe the next couple issues, right? There's 148 or 149, pardon me, which I've got there. And spoiler, 150, like we're getting a full Cyclops Magneto battle at some point. So I know I've got those, which I'm excited to have those originals. 151, something unrelated, more comics,
other comics.
Yeah, this one I don't have, so there's like a gap in my.
Yeah.
Well,
but that's okay.
I'm not surprised I don't have it.
No, you can skip over this one.
Well, if I see it for a reasonable price, I might.
First appearance through the roof, baby.
Yeah, I didn't even put that in the title of the episode, and then look what happens because I didn't do it. No one here in the chat tonight.
No one came tonight.
Well, except for you and me. We're here,
and we're the most important.
That's all I really need.
That's the first time I think that's happened.
Perhaps we had a few people for a little bit, but
not to be sad about it, but that's the first time I think that's happened.
Then just to talk hockey with you for a second.
Everyone was busy.
Did you see the score in the Leaf game?
I have seen the score in the Leaf game.
This is what should have happened last time they played. These two teams. So the Leafs just won 7-0.
Yep.
I'm so happy for Samsonov that he got another shutout.
Yep.
Incredible. And I do not know who scored in the third period, but I'm about to look. Kerfoot scored again.
Yep.
Engvall. Hey, and Joey Anderson. That's great.
Was he from the Marlies?
I do not know, but let's just say yes. And did Matthews not get a point in this game?
I think he got an assist, maybe on one of the early goals.
Bunting
Maybe not.
from Marner and Tavares. Oh no, he got an assist on Brody's goal.
Okay.
So everyone's getting points tonight.
Yeah, and a lot of third, fourth liners getting.
Except for not Nylander.
But
He had a
Marner,
little streak going too.
23 games. Now.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm so happy that that's the result. And like everything feels like it's right in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The Leafs now in
That's,
third place
that's
overall.
3 out of the last 4 games shutout
Yeah.
wins. That's pretty awesome.
It's fantastic. There's also only 3 teams that have let in less goals than them this season.
Boston,
Yeah, like Boston, Jersey, and
New Jersey, and somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the Golden Knights or whoever. It's another top team. But it's just great because in our shared stretch of fandom, they've never been a low goals against team. They've always been high goals for and like average to not good goals against.
Absolutely.
So it's really cool to see. But I'm going to just try and shift this back to X-Men. Yeah, inconsequential issue. That's, I think, part of the overall drama. And I'm still, I've heard from a lot of people that the Cockrum second run is underrated. And I'm kind of still waiting to get proven. Like my initial instinct is I've always been bored by his art and not engaged in the stories that happened during his time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of waiting to get convinced that it's good. But I do think the art's getting tighter. I think they're a good pairing, those two guys, but I'm not loving the stories yet. No.
Again, it's every week so far. It's just new guest stars, and I don't know, whatever. It's we got so spoiled by these arcs that were interconnected and planned out, and seemingly things. That even the whole trip around the world, right, going from Savage Land, Japan, Canada, it was like they just kept going. It was great.
Yeah. And then just to further connect it back to the thesis of the show, like this issue and like the Doom Arcade stuff, it has no bearing on pop culture and the X-Men at large moving forward.
Right.
And that no other iteration of X-Men as a franchise, as an IP, have pulled from these issues yet to generate more story. Right? There's no famous Fox movie about Cyclops and Lee Forrester on the island.
There is. It's made for a certain age group.
You know what I'm saying, though? Come on. This issue is not essential.
No.
This is not an inspiration for any more X-Men content. The way that the Byrne run with Claremont absolutely is. And the way things are going to be moving forward when we get out of this run. Or maybe there will be something in it that is good. I don't know yet. I don't know. But I'm glad to discover it with you.
Thanks, buddy.
Speaking of you.
Yep. You
still on for Thursday?
Yes. Just want to make sure, because I know there is some snow stuff coming maybe, so we'll just keep an eye on it. But aside from that, yes.
You got winter tires on?
I do.
You Canadian boy?
Just want to make sure everything's okay.
Okay, good. Obviously, I would never. I know you got a long drive. I would never.
But aside from that, should be good.
So you can find our comics at group7comics.ca, and that 7 is, of course, the number 7, because that is how we roll. You can get our trade paperback there. You can get issues 7 and 8. You can get our Instagram comics turned into print, Londinium and Obstacle Course. Holy cow. So that's 4 Peregrines comics are out at the moment. Group of 7.
You can order a Peregrines 4-pack from us. All 4 comics.
Yes.
Do it.
What a great holiday gift to give.
Exactly.
Or to receive. And we're daily updates to Peregrine's Hunter's Moon on Instagram. You can follow either of us, both of us, and at Group of 7 Comics. Number is 7. Trevor, I missed it all.
You did. People.
I'll catch the replay. Been loving the daily strips. Oh, thanks, man. I hope you've been enjoying it. So that's nice to hear. It's a lot of fun to make comics every day, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Enjoy the limitations of it too, right?
Mm.
You can't get precious about it. Got to get them done and move on. So it's fun to make and not stress over.
And it's great because we're just expanding our little universe, and
yeah,
we'll throw in people and like, oh, didn't you know these guys would exist a few days ago? Now
that's right.
And now they're there.
And it all seems to work. That's one of the things I love
yeah.
about the world that we're playing in. Is it is
I'm really
very
enjoying the
adaptable
story
to
so far.
more
really
characters and fleshing stuff out, and
Yeah.
pulling in from the things that you and I are either watching, reading, or thinking about.
True.
Like, is it a surprise if you look at what's my viewing history of late? Hey, don't look there. All the Western stuff I've been watching, like, no surprise there's a cowboy hat, and guys on horses. Like, it's going to happen.
Of course.
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen. So it's very cool. Trevor, hope you're well, and we'll catch up again in the future. But I guess that's it for episode 58.
I think so.
Yeah, I just hear my son just got home from hockey practice, and I'm going to
tell him the good news about the Leafs.
I will tell him. He'll be excited. And he just got a Funko Pop from a friend for the holidays. Someone gave him a present got a little Willie Nylander, and Nylander's like a bad word in my house up until this year, which is fine. He's earned a different position.
Yeah. Does the Funko Pop just skate up one side of the ice, stop, and come back, and then?
No, you'd be surprised when you look at it. You think it's normal, and you flip it, and you realize it's only one dimensional. No, but he's obviously elevated his game considerably.
He certainly has.
So I'm proud of him for growing as a player. Makes it much better and more fun to watch, and their team is better. So there you go.
There you go.
Everything good with you? You're good to go?
Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for hanging out with us. Watch it on the replay, and this enables you to have the opportunity to put us at 1.5 speed. It's a smooth listen, let me tell you. 1.5 or double. Go, Graydon James. he told me it's the way to do it. So I'm down with that. As long as you're watching, that's all I care about.
That's all we care.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
You too, man.
Enjoy your X-Men comics.
Thanks, everyone.
And we'll see you next time. Cheers.
On Previously in X-Men.